Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. I wanted to do another video, which I feel is very, very important. Um, I did one already on porn addiction. People that watch too much pornography and what it does to you, how it's not healthy and how it's not good and that kind of thing. And I don't know if I covered because I did it a while ago. It was a while ago. The thing that I wanted to point out on when it comes to that kind of thing, I got, of course, there's certain situations where young kids are exposed to it, when they're not supposed to. I remember back in the day when in the 1980s, in the early, I think it was 1983 or something like that, 1984 maybe, or I saw my first, Playboy magazine, you know, that my older brother and his friends found or got from somebody else or however it was and stuff like that. And in one time when there was no school, it was during the summer. I remember when my me and my older brother would because I never saw nude pictures of women before, and real late at night when everybody was asleep, when my parents were asleep and stuff like that. Uh, he had a couple of them, and he gave me one, and I just saw them. And at that age, as a kid, you get curious, and that kind of thing. But we had no business seeing that kind of stuff to begin with. And there was kids from the neighborhood that my older brother knew, and then they were like, there was I think it was Hustler magazine or besides Playboy. And then, of course, you do get an arousal from it. And then it does get to the point where it does become damaging. And then from that time on, a couple of years later, um, I think I was 13 years old, almost 14, when I saw my very first pornographic film. It was on VHS. It was in a VHS tape. And of course, through somebody's friends, they got it from somebody who, they're either somebody's dad who had it in his whatever, or somebody that rented it, and they managed to get a hold of it, or however the situation was. And I remember watching it, and I saw the whole thing, and of course, the damaging part of it, how it actually, because at that time, as a when you're very young, or even when you're in your early teens or whatever, you can't process that kind of thing in a very healthy way. And I remember, there was times where, especially when I was growing up, and then I had friends coming over to so and so's house, and it's just, hey, my older brother has like a porno movie of the so and so, and then they would watch it. It was during those times in the 1980s when someone would have a porn movie and VHS, and then we would watch it, and we would talk about it, and just start, saying, goofing around and making jokes, and say, "Damn, that woman's fine," or "She's doing this and that," and that kind of stuff. It didn't happen that often, but it didn't happen once in a great while either. And of course, later on, as the years went by, when I was in high school, we I would watch more of them and stuff like that from so and so's friend's house and things like that. And of course, I could see how something like that can be damaging. And of course, I didn't know back then, and of course, maybe I should have known better. But and then of course, when I got old enough to watch more of it, so when cable was around and um, when you have like a cable box and there's like a little lock switch for people who want to watch the adult channel. I was old enough at that time to watch it, and then when we had HBO and Showtime and stuff like that, and then we would just turn the knob thing to watch um the adult channels, and I remember how even way before that time, for those of you who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, when cable first came out, it was the very first cable that I remember that came out was TVQ, when they had all these different movies, whatever, and there was available. You had to order it and pay a monthly fee and stuff like that. TVQ was the first thing that came out, and then after that it was Select TV, and of course it was just, and this is before HBO and Showtime even existed. And then we heard rumors about on Select TV that if you at a certain time of the night they would show pornographic movies. We would never, we of course we never got a chance to see it, but we heard rumors about it and stuff like that, and then and weird stuff like that, and that's when HBO came out later on in the early '80s, and I remember even when I would watch more of it, and I did grow some into some kind of an addiction towards it too. And of course, what people usually do when they watch it and stuff like that. And I know there's people that will get so much into it, because I remember when I first saw the pornographic movies, the X-rated movies back then, for the 1980s. For those of you who actually seen the 1980s porno movies, it's like watching a soap opera. It's like watching an episode of Days of Our Lives, or As the World Turns. That the wife is cheating on the husband with his best friend, or with the gardener, or with the butler, or whatever like that, or the husband is cheating on the wife with his sister, or with the maid, or whatever the kind of thing is. It's like it's somebody's cheating on somebody. So it's the same thing. It's just like watching a soap opera, except that you're actually seeing the sex. You're seeing the penetration and the ejaculation, or the cum shots, you want to call it like that. It was no different than seeing that. So for those of you who knows what I'm talking about the 1980s pornographic movies, the early 80s especially, it was really no different. So it's kind of like watching an episode of a soap opera, but with the actual sex. And then later on, it evolved more into these stupid type of scenarios of like an office scene where the woman does gives oral sex to the boss in order to get a promotion, or a scene of a doctor giving an examination, and then that the type of scenario, and then this fantasy gets into your head, and then actually it could actually become damaging, because it becomes more sleazy, it becomes more this and that, and actually, and I honestly think that it programs the mind into becoming more like this is normal. This is what really happens. And I mean, of course, I'm pretty sure there's situations like that in real life. But how this these scenarios can actually become more fantasy than reality and stuff like that. And if somebody is not stable enough, someone who's fucked up in the head, it could eventually lead to some kind of sexual assault, or it could actually lead to doing something that you're not supposed to, or and then for some people that are too screwed up in the head, they'll end up wanting to see something more darker and more underground and stuff like that, and that's what leads to other kind of things. And there was also that I remember that when you watch these type of things and you get into it, there's something that's called when a person has a very overwhelming strong addiction to it, they can't get enough of it, and they watch it over and over again. And or if you go to somebody's house and they have a whole fucking library of porno movies, and some of them are in the VHS. There was this one guy that I visited, and he had a whole bunch of fucking porno movies on his shelf, like about 50 or 60 of them. Some of them were DVDs, some of them were this and that. And of course, this guy was kind of like I don't want to call him a loser, but he was more like a loser looking type of he was in his late 50s or something like that, and I could just tell, you could just tell, but just if someone were to look at him and stuff like that, he's not the type of guy that would get beautiful women. And he was like a white guy. I called him Freedom Rock because he because he looks like one of those stoners. Like, hey, dude, what's up? Turn this shit up, man. That kind of thing. He was kind of like somewhat of a hippie. And then the thing about it is, for some people, it will create what is known as porn zombies. And porn zombies are the ones to me, that is the most disturbing. Because with porn zombies, not only will you be watching things that are, the regular typical sleazy stuff, and then S&M, and then things like underground porn like rape, or bestiality, child pornography, and whatever like that, depending on the person, what they're into and stuff like that. It kind of like lures you into it the more you get into it, just because it damages. There's a great deal of serotonin, dopamine, and stuff like that goes into the brain, and that reward system after when you masturbate to it and you ejaculate, and stuff like that. There's people that just can't get enough of it. And then you feel, to me, I when I saw this one movie called Eight Millimeter, which is an awesome movie, and they talk about this one guy who was investigating a kidnapping, or a missing person. I mean, and she was a victim of a snuff film, and which is another thing. Snuff films are also another dark thing, another type of pornography that's very dark. And he was talking about porn zombies. Joaquin Phoenix was playing this one character, and then he was saying, do you get turned on at places like that? And Nicolas Cage's character that he was playing, he says, no, I don't. Well, you don't get turned off either. He's like, he said, you dance with the devil don't change. The devil changes you. And when I think about that, I think about the eeriness, how at the most highest level. Now, you can call it demons, you can call it evil spirits, you could call it whatever you want. I mean, call it what you will, whatever you want to call them. But I do believe that there's something sinister that's also involved in it, that also lures people that are already fucked up in the head because they got exposed to it as a young age, and this shit is everywhere. I mean, okay, if you know, I have nothing against pornographic movies in and of itself. The normal, typical stuff that I remember seeing when I was growing up. If you want to watch that stuff, you watch it. That's fine. But I noticed that over the years, over the decades, it got more sleazy. It got more more smutty, whatever like that, and the scenarios are very. It's I don't know how you want to explain it, but the way it actually became nowadays, and now it's on the internet, and now it's on whatever that kind of thing, and it seems to me where it could actually become dangerous and there's just something creepy about it. And then ever since I kind of suspected that I was like, it's not worth watching this shit. That's not whatever. I don't really care for it anymore. I pretty much stopped watching it, especially when I was in the late during the late '90s and early 2000s when I used to watch that kind of stuff. But then there was some stuff that made me feel a little bit creeped out, and then more creeped out as time went on. And then I said to myself, something doesn't seem right. Like either there's like a like what you would call like the TV screen would be like a conduit, and if there's and these so-called evil spirits can actually do something to you as you're watching these very dark type of pornographic stuff and things like that. And these were DVDs. I'm talking about DVDs and VHS tapes back then. And then seeing and if it's dangerous back then, just imagine how it is now. There's something creepy about it. It is very very fucking disturbing, in my opinion. And I don't know what else to add on to it, but it just scares the fuck out of me. It really does, and I don't know. It's just creepy to me. It's just fucking creepy. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And to all of you, take care.